Hi, our lesson today will be about fractions and order of operations. So we'll be doing adding mixed fractions. We'll be doing integral fractions where you have negative signs on the numerator and the denominator. And that's what I'll be showing you today. Now we'll go into fractions with negative signs all over the place. So if we have -3 over -7 plus 2 over -5. If you want to do this, the first thing you got to get rid of the negative signs that you don't need, or just simplify them, So here, the first thing you have negative over negative. Remember I said fractions mean division. So it means -3 divided by -7. Let's not divide the 3 and the 7, but can we divide the negatives? Negative divided by negative is positive. So this will be 3 over 7. And I said when you have two signs, like in this situation right here, you make them into one sign. So positive and negative will become minus, and this will be 2 over 5. And therefore the answer here, you do a common denominator. Common denominator between 7 and 5 is 35. That's your lowest common denominator. 35 divided by 7 is 5. 5 is what you multiply into the 3. So you get 15 minus 35 divided by 5 is 7. 7 is what you multiply into the 2. You get 14. And the answer for this is 1 over 35. I do highly recommend doing lowest common denominator and adding and subtracting fractions the way I'm showing you right here. I know in North America, we don't use this method often, just few teachers use that. And this is the most recommended method because it makes things a lot easier, especially when you get to grade 11 and 12. Now let's go to the next question. We have -7 over 8 minus -1/4. So again, we got to simplify this before we start adding and subtracting fractions. And as I mentioned here, the only thing we could do is we have two signs besides one another. So we rewrite this as -7 over 8. Negative and negative will be plus 1 over 4. And let me just mention one thing. -7 over 8 is the same as 7 over -8 is the same as -7 over 8, like this. We don't like this, or we don't like it written in this format right here. So it's better in this case to throw the negative on top. So now we're going to do a common denominator. The common denominator is 8. Then we go 8 divided by 8 is 1. 1 is what we multiply into the -7, so we get -7. Plus, we go 8 divided by 4 is 2. 2 is what we multiply to the top. 2 times 1 is 2. And then we get -5 over 8 as a final answer. Next question. -7 over 6 minus 3 over 5 divided by -6 over 7. So now order of operations, we have to do division first. And we keep this -7 over 6 the same. Then we have a minus. Of course, when we're dividing, keep, switch to multiplication, flip. After this, we try to reduce inside here. So 3 goes into itself once, it goes into 6 twice. And this will be rewritten as -7 over 6 minus 1 times 7 is 7. And 5 times -2, because there's, don't forget the negative, that gives me a -10 on the bottom. That's a 6 there. Now, remember, I said when you have two signs like this besides one another, you have to change them into one sign. And in this case here, it will be -7 over 6. Negative and negative will be positive. 7 over 10. The common denominator here, just gonna carry this right here. The common denominator is 30, because finding the common denominator, don't just multiply the 10 and the 6, because that's the common denominator, but it's not the least common denominator. So if you want to find the least common denominator, you look at the big number, see if the 6 goes into it. If it's not, then you go ahead and find the next multiple to 10, which is 20. 6 still doesn't go into it. The next multiple to 10 after the 20 is 30. Yes, 6 goes into 30, so that's my least common denominator. So from here, then the way I do common denominator, I go 30 divided by 6 is 5. So 5 is what I multiply to the -7. That gives me -35. And then we have the plus sign. 30 divided by 10 is 3. 3 is what I multiply into the 7, and I get 21. -35 plus 21 is -14 over 30. Now, these both are even numbers, so for sure, 2 goes into both of them. So 2 goes into 14 7 times, goes into 30 15 times. So your final answer, don't forget the negative there, so -7 over 15. So here's a question. So we got square brackets, and then stuff inside it, close square bracket divided by 2. So we got square bracket 3 over -4 minus brackets -3 over 4, close square bracket divided by 2. Now, if we don't have the square bracket right here, then we'll have to do this divided by this first. But this square bracket now doesn't allow us to do this anymore, because we have to do inside the brackets first. And therefore, remember I said we don't like the negative on the bottom. So we'll throw the negative on top, because -3 over 4 is the same as 3 over -4, but we don't like the negative being on the bottom. Change this into plus 3/4 divided by 2. And -3/4 plus 3/4 is 0. 0 divided by 2 is 0. Next question. -6 brackets 4 over 5 minus 1/2. Close the bracket. So here, you gotta do the brackets first. Common denominator here is 10. 10 divided by 5 is 2. 2 is what we multiply into the 4, we get 8. Minus 10 divided by 2 is 5. 5 is what we multiply into the 1, we get 5. We have -6 times brackets, or just we could just write times. That's going to be 3 over 10. When you multiply a whole number by a fraction, all you need to do is just see if the whole number and the bottom of the fraction reduces, or you could put 1 on the bottom, either or. 2 goes into 6 3 times, goes into 10 5 times. And therefore now you just multiply tops together. So this would be -3, because don't forget that negative times 3 gives you -9. And underneath here is 1 that we don't write, and 1 times 5 is 5. And that's the answer for that. So here is this one. We have to do the multiplication here first, and then here second. Then we add, so that's the order of operations. When we multiply and we look diagonally or within the same fraction and see if we could reduce. Here we cannot reduce, so we're gonna get 3 over -8, but I don't like to put the negative on the bottom. I'm just gonna put it on top. Plus, here, can we reduce? No. So we're gonna get -5 over 18. Now the next thing, we have -3 over 8. Remember, when we have 2 signs, we have to change them to 1. And positive and negative will just be minus 5 over 18. Now, we gotta find the common denominator. The common denominator here will be So we look at the big number, 18, 88 doesn't go into 18 evenly. The next multiple to 18 is 36, still 8 doesn't go into 36 evenly. So the next multiple of 18 after 36 is 54. 8 still doesn't go into it. But the next multiple after that is 72. And yes, 72 works because now we go 72 divided by 8, which gives us 9. 9 times -3 is -27. Then we have the minus sign right there. 72 divided by 18 is 4. 4 is what we multiply into the 5 and we get 20. Now that will give us -47 over 72. Can you reduce this? No, we can't. And that's our final answer. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, share with students or anyone who could benefit from this. The next time, bye-bye.